Baby girl, do your dance, TikTok. Hit that bitch from the back, flip flop, rubber ship in the pack, ziplock. Love them all thin, thick thoughts. She drippin' like Aquafina. Ride it down like I ride with that Nina. Mucha gusta that mami that chica. Micha talla, ya put that ginger.
Hello, you're listening to another Sushi Mob review. I'm your host, Eddie, and we will be reviewing Tower of God, Episode 5, from the new webtoon-adapted anime on Crunchyroll. Episode 5, The Dangers of Simping. So the way we're going to break this review down is we're going to start off with a chapter synopsis, then I'm going to go into some character analysis, and then at the end, we're going to go over some of the differences between the show and the webcomic. The episode starts off with Kun still being his sly, foxy self, and emptying out all of the crowns in his bag, and we actually learn about his bag's duplicating effect. Kun then jumps up on the throne and, decides to chillax for a bit as we enter the next round. Bam already has the crown. That round is ended, so everyone goes back to their tents. Shibisu actually acts as a narrator for the beginning of this episode. And it's actually pretty cool because he's talking through and processing things. Remember Shibisu, one of Siu's favorite characters. I'm not going to talk about him that much for these next couple of reviews because he's not a major player. So you'll see. Moving on. So the next round begins and we see a very strange team come out. And one of them is this green monster. The other one's a lady it looks like she has some sort of psychic power. The last guy is a little guy with a little mohawk. This team comes out and they begin to fight essentially everyone else in the arena. And Kun explains that he actually kept them inside of his bag and they were the weight that slowed things down when he was entering the test. But Mr. Lee Ro, even though he noticed it, he let them pass. So there's an interesting little thing there. And there's actually this really cool panel that is not in the webcomic, where Lee Ro actually not Lee Ro, the coffee man actually says, now the test is going to officially begin. So now that Kun has let the cat out of the bag, he explains to Rock what's going on. He's like, hey, listen, you can relax. You don't even have to fight no more, bro. So just take a seat. We're going to handle the rest. So Rock actually sits down. He's grumpy about it. Rock's being his usual impatient self. Then we go into the fight. His team that was helping him out, they just wash the floor with everyone else. And then we pan over to Rahule's team, and we see Dorsey being very smug. And she kind of mumbles to herself, we're going to let them think that they're going to win. So something bad's coming. Bump, 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 bump. Something's coming on the horizon. Boom. Cutting forward to the next round. Presses the button. She's seen that Kun has let the cat out of the bag. He doesn't have any more tricks up his sleeve that she can't see. So we have this masked character in this bodysuit, which, my goodness, did they actually emphasize some things on this that they did not in the comic books. Shout out to Crunchyroll. You all know how to do fan service correctly. So she ends up fighting Dorsey, and she ends up knocking out some of the other competitors first, but the real fight is between her and Dorsey, and they're basically evenly matched. Another thing to point out is this character was also evenly matched with Rock. So those are two important points to note. So this could mean that Rock and Dorsey start off on the same level as far as strength. So it's interesting. And Dorsey breaks her heel. This happens in the webcomic as well. And this masked fighter is actually now encroaching in on Rachel. Bam leaps from the throne and turns into the biggest simp we have ever seen. And he just screams out, Rahule! Oh, my Rahule!
He breathes. He's a simp!
He gets thwacked on the back of the head. Cooks! Right upside the back of the head. Just the same way an African mother would just, come on, let me give you one. Just knock you on the back of your head. Knock you out, boy.
What did Ghana get independence? 25th December 1987. How you think it's Christmas, eh?
Basically bans out cold. That's what I'm trying to say, boy. Anyways, this masked character, gets attacked from Bam's Shinsu. Cuts off one of their eyes and cuts off her mask. And you see that under this mask, she's actually this red-headed woman. So I don't know why they decided to mask her, but there might be something to that. So we're going to just keep that in mind, that she's a skilled fighter. She's basically on the same level as these other two characters, Rock and Dorsey. And she gets hit from Bam Shinsu. So there's a part of this that is not in the webcomic. I'm kind of blending these sections together. As you can tell, I can't really not talk about the webcomic, where Black March actually stops Bam from attacking further. And Bam actually stands up from after getting hit on his head, which leads me to a point that I've been questioning as a reader of the webcomic, which is Bam immortal? Because getting hit on your head to bleed out as much as he did and be able to stand up, that takes some immortal godlike power. Now, I don't know how hard he was hit. It could also just be adrenaline, but they're implying that there's something different about him. We actually see this between the conversation between Lee Roro and Coffee Man. I'm going to keep calling him Coffee Man until we learn more about him. He's actually a super important character. But to me, Coffee Man. It's just easier to call him that. And you see that Lee Roro is questioning Coffee Man's intentions because he's like, well, if this guy is proctoring this special exam and we don't have a winner, what was the freaking point? And he's like, isn't there something about what we're supposed to be doing as far as watching out for threats in the tower? Do you see anybody who's a threat? And he thinks about Bam, and then he goes right back to like, nah.
Huh? Oh, it was probably just a bird or something.
And there's this weird like agreement between both of them. It's like, well, then you know exactly why we did it. They both kind of know something, and they're both hiding it from each other. And this level of politics is a lot to dump on an audience at the 5th episode, but it's something that we do want to follow and we do want to watch very carefully as we proceed throughout the rest of the series. Lee Roro is one of my favorite characters, and that's why I want you to watch his actions. All right. So, moving on to the final part of the chapter, we move into Yuri, and she's actually traveling in the travel zone of the tower. You see these roses on the wall. It's a dark cave. Something's going up there, and she has the guide with her, with the gray-haired dwarf, and she also has this other guy with her who I forgot about. He was even in the series. And this is another thing where I'm going to cut into the webcomic a little bit. In the webcomic, there's this little girl that's with him. In this version, there's no little girl that's with him, but there is the other character who seems to be playing a video game or some sort of device that they're on, who's also kind of chipping into this conversation. So pay attention to those other characters. I honestly have not seen them pop up in the story again, but I really wonder what happened to the people that Yuri was traveling the tower with. That might be a little bit of a spoiler. But basically in the webcomic, I'll just throw it out there. They haven't shown up again. So I really wonder, like, what's the deal with them? Like, what's good? Like, I just want to know. Like, that's some real, like... So at a later point, I'll probably be doing some sort of theory video on who actually makes up Yuri's team, who does Yuri work for, and, like, what is the deal with Yuri? Because she is really a central pillar to Tower of God along with Rachel. Because, keep in mind, Yuri was the one who gave Bam the Black March. So there's something there. We'll explore that in the future. I think once I start doing the webcomic versions, I will actually speak a little bit more on that. All right, next we go to characterization. So within this story, we have 3 characters that I'm going to focus on. These are just the main 3. There's actually 2 other characters that I'm going to point out here and talk about them a little bit. So you have Kun, sly, cunning. He plans ahead. And he also just has some special items with him that, make him unique. And he doesn't reveal everything until he knows that his plan has worked. So that's something we want to just note about Kun. Rock, and that may also, actually, one more thing to add, that also adds to his teammates. He doesn't always tell his teammates even what's going on until he knows he's already won. Then we go to Rock. Rock, I want to make 3 eyes for Rock, but right now I have... he's indomitable. He has an indomitable spirit because he fights, and he actually uses Gone Freaks from Hunter x Hunter's line. First comes Rock, indomitable spirit. Anybody who uses that line has an indomitable spirit. He's indomitable. He's impatient. And I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what the last one is. It might have to do with his defensive abilities. He's impregnable. Pause. But he's impregnable. How about that? Impatient, indomitable, and impregnable. Then we have Bam. And Bam, cue the Simpsons intro. The Simpsons. He's a simp. He likes Rachel because Rachel took care of him. And he sacrifices himself for her. And because of that, we actually get to witness the full scale of his abilities. And he kind of gives away the fact that he's not like everyone else. And that could potentially be dangerous for him to be revealing that this early in the story. The good side is Rachel comes back around to Kun at the end of this episode. And this is a little bit of characterization for Rachel. And she has a request for Kun. So that's interesting. Keep in mind, Rachel left Bam at the beginning, but now she has a request for Bam's basically best friend Kun. So we need to watch that very carefully in this next episode to see what that request is. Some other people who get characterization this episode, and Dorsey, her fighting style. This is actually, and I'm going to speak on this a little bit just because I'm going to mesh all these sections together here today. But in Dorsey, actually in the manga, she has these like circle attacking discs that she used to attack the masked figure. She does not have those in this, but they actually do a call out to this because you see a pin on her shirt that actually looks like those symbols within the comic. So there is that there. Other things about Dorsey, her personality, she's just all spunk. She's like the better version of Sakura from Naruto. Like, for real. And I live. And she's strong. Clearly, she's fighting this character who's just knocking everyone out single-handedly, and she's joking around with her until she breaks her heel. She's also a little bit clumsy. She breaks her heel and ends up getting thwanked and, knocked out of the way. But she's tenacious. That wasn't enough to take her out. So she's pretty powerful. I'm wondering who's stronger between her and Anak. Wink. So, other differentiations from the webcomic. The other big point was Coffee Man saying that this is when the real fight begins. They do have a flashback to him when Kun is talking about sneaking people in, but he doesn't actually do that. Another one is Rock saying first comes Rock. That is just a beautiful deviation. I'm super proud of them for doing that as well. Overall thoughts of the episode. I'm actually going to start rating these episodes as well. So for me, this episode 5, and I'm going to rate them out of 5. I'm going to give this one a 4 out of 5. I think they took a lot of liberties with this episode. I didn't like the reveal with the Black March kissing Bam and having him fall asleep. I feel like they could have even just saved that part for later. I feel like Black March and the Mystery of the 13 Weapons series could have been kept a little bit more secretive, but you have to give a little, take a little. So, in this episode, they expanded on some of the fight scenes, and I really appreciated that. What they took away was some of the allure of Bam's mysticism. They're kind of making it very concrete as to what is happening, which, that is a plus. But still, overall, I'm giving it a 4 out of 5. I'm a tough critic, so when it comes to anime, so I'm not going to give things 5 out of 5s right away unless it blows my mind. So there you go. That is your Sushi Mob review. I'm Eddie, signing off. Keep shining.